Let's go to Victoria now. The opposition leader, John Pesutto, is standing by for us. John, thanks so much for your time. We heard what Jane had to say there about the energy system. I mean, this has really exposed the problems in the mix at the moment, hasn't it? What's your solution?
Well, to invest in network resilience and take a very measured and orderly approach to making sure our grid can work even with severe storm weather. The government commissioned a report following some severe storms in 2021, Laura, and it received the report 2 years ago. It reported a year after that, and it's been nearly 6 months since the government responded. But it's doing nothing to invest in network resilience. It's had nearly 3 years to respond to this. Yeah. Everybody knows that particularly at this time of year we face severe storm weather, and our grid needs to be resilient enough to meet that. So the first thing is the government
down on
needs
that
to
a little
actually start
bit,
doing something.
John? Network resilience is a neat term, but I don't exactly know what you mean by that. What are you talking about practically?
So it means, one, Laura, that the energy infrastructure, towers and the like, are more resilient. Secondly, to storm weather. And secondly, it means that we've got options. And I think you touched on this in your interview with Jane just a moment ago, but just let's all remember that yesterday, gas was supplying about 25 to 30% of the state's energy needs. And I can say from my own experience in our own household, we were cut off from electricity as well, like so many others in Victoria, and we had to use gas. And the government has this ideological opposition to gas, which is going to see more and more Victorian households and businesses exposed to this kind of outage experience. And it's not fair on them, and the government needs to get serious about it.
Are you on board with this nuclear idea from your counterparts in the federal parliament?
I've said previously, Laura, that we're open to it. I think there's a few things we need to bear in mind. I think for long-term investments like nuclear will require, I do think it requires bipartisan support. We're certainly open to it, and we certainly understand and believe that in the decades ahead, let's be reasonable. Let's adopt a common sense approach. We're going to need a diverse range of renewable sources of energy, and energy sources that can be deployed when other sources are out of action, whether it's due to storm events or the like. So
but obviously this has exposed the unreliability of coal. Would you agree?
Well, let's also understand that the Victorian government has agreed to underwrite the existing coal fleet in Victoria up to certain periods. They differ from coal-fired power station to the other. But during that time where the government has underwritten them, it's got to make sure that it can deliver what Victorians are paying for. We're paying for these coal-fired power stations to deliver reliable energy. So what Jacinta Allen and her government need to do, Laura, is make sure that we're getting the energy in a reliable way because we're paying for it.
Yeah, it's pretty wild that in 2024, even it was a decent storm. Absolutely, it was concentrated in a region, and we've all seen the pictures of those transmission towers bent out of shape. But it's pretty wild that in 2024, that AEMO is asking businesses to basically stop trading, stop manufacturing, and they don't have a timeline on when they can resume that because the state doesn't have enough power.
You bet it is, Laura. It's not fair and it's not appropriate. It's all avoidable. And let's remember, it's not just about the businesses and the employees who will suffer. You know, what experiences like last night remind us is that, all of us would have been thinking last night, if this outage goes on and on, we're going to have to dispose of all of the food in our fridge. And think about, we're okay as a family, but think about all those families who are struggling to make ends meet, having to dispose of food and perishables, medicines that need to be refrigerated. This is very personal for people, and governments have a responsibility to make sure that they deliver without failure on the basic necessities we all need.